You're watching that 4x4 show, and my name is Bernie Williams. This week in the program, we look at economy. We drive 3 SUVs, one budget SUV, one that's replacing a budget SUV, and one that is not so inexpensive, but at least should save you something at the pumps. It was just another tough day in Africa. And there I was, working as hard as always, minding my own business. That's when I came to the startling realization. Times are not exactly flush. And there I was, coming up with the most brilliant plan. We should focus on economically minded 4x4s. So here I am, brought along 3 budget-orientated 4x4s to address this pressing matter. The first one hails from Japan and is South Africa's most popular entry-level 4x4, and it is a 4x4 proper. 4x4 proper, because the cute little Suzuki Jimny comes standard with a low-range transfer case and a very tough drivetrain. Thanks to its small dimensions, short wheelbase and low weight, the Jimny is said to be amazingly capable in an off-road environment. The 3-door Jimny sells for 210,000 Rand, which is still not the kind of cash you're going to get out of your piggy bank savings. But in the Rand per capability stakes, no other 4x4 in the local market can really touch the little Suzuki. The cabin is all about form and function. No fancy thrills in here. And it's got everything that you'd expect from a modern-day little 4x4. Around town, the Jimny's 1.3-litre engine does a really good job. Sure, it only delivers 63 kilowatts and 110 newton meters, and you have to rev the heebie-jeebies out of the 16-valve engine to get the best out of it. Oh, and that air intake on the bonnet, in case you are wondering, is all for show. It serves no practical purpose. Anyway, thanks to relatively short gearing, the Jimny is surprisingly brisk and even fun to drive in the urban jungle. Unfortunately, the picture is less rosy on the open road, and driving longer distances can become a tedious and uncomfortable affair, especially if there's some wind around. The engine also sips almost no petrol, and if you drive normally, you can expect around 450 kilometers for every 40-litre tank of petrol. On the downside, the cabin is really tiny, and I think it's probably one of the only cars in South Africa where you can actually open the passenger door window from the driver's seat easily, and I think you probably get a suntan on both your arms, but it is a lot of fun to drive around in town with. Essentially, it's all about economy of scales. Time then to introduce you to contender number 2 in our economy special. And this one hails from South Korea, or maybe India. Anyway, it's the latest Samyang Rexton, and Samyang has always been, well, economically minded. This is the all-new Rexton W, as its creators call it. A lot more compact and probably 10 million times better looking than its slow-selling predecessor, but sells for 430,000 Rand. At this price, it's 50,000 Rand cheaper than the sales benchmark in this class, Toyota Fortuner 3-litre D4D 4x4 Auto. Problem is, the Samyang's resale value is not even close to being as good as the Toyota's, so it's one thing to save 50k today, but another to lose a lot more when you want to swing the Rexton a year later. So it's a bit of a conundrum, this new Samyang. Unfortunately, the price is not the only flaw that this Rexton has. Only gives you 121 kilowatts and 380 newton meters of torque, and that at 1,800 revs per minute. Anything under that gives you tons and tons of turbo lag, and that really kind of spoils the drive, especially in town. Once the turbocharger joins the party, the picture does brighten up considerably. For the rest, the driving experience is surprisingly refined and capable. We'd even go so far as to say that in the comfort department, it's better than that other popular Toyota. The Rexton is very comfy and capable, and once it's up to speed, it's really good. If it's 430,000 Rand good though, is another question. The new Rexton has certainly surprised us in a lot of good ways. Even has a transfer case for some serious off-road driving, but we'll test that a bit later in the program. Up next, we have Economy Buster number 3, a small little SUV from Germany. Yes, it's German, it's fast, it's exclusive and highly sought after, and well, it's reasonably affordable if you consider what you get. It is the latest Porsche Cayenne Diesel S. That's right, diesel, because this program is all about economy. And diesel is economical, right? On that economical topic, this Porsche, which weighs in at 2.3 tons, drinks an average of about 9 liters of diesel per 100 kilometers. That's even less than the Samyang and almost the same consumption as the small little Jimny. Oh, and its V8 turbo diesel engine also delivers 281 kilowatts of power and quite a few Newton meters too. 850 Newton meters of torque. And this is all about economy, okay? Saving fuel, of course. Never mind that this Porsche Cayenne can accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.7 seconds or reach a top speed of over 250 kilometers an hour. Or that it sells for just under $1 million big ones. Or that it is equipped with an 8-speed automatic gearbox, air suspension, and more tricks and airbags and cow in the interior than most limos. None of these things matter, because remember, it only drinks 9 liters of diesel per 100 kilometers, and that's very economical. Despite being so economical, this Porsche has a whole bag of tricks when it comes to off-roading, including air suspension and a transfer case. So theoretically, it should be very good off-road. Join us later to find out which 4x4 really is the budget buy of the century. I really can't wait to see them all perform off-road. Well, it's been months since we started with our disco project, and to tell you the truth, I just can't wait to see how this project is going to turn out. So I think it's time for us just to go and catch up and see how far we are down the road with this process. It's been a while since we've talked project cars, and that's because both the work on the Discovery and Terios have been eating up mountains of time. In Cape Town, the Terios visited Maniac Manufacturing, completed the exterior man-up process. However, Murphy decided to complicate matters some. The turbocharged engine picked up a serious problem. So instead of driving the completed vehicle back to Gauteng, it had to be transported on a motor truck. Anyway, it's now back in Gauteng and will make its first public appearance at the Johannesburg International Motor Show. Go and check it out. The Land Rover Discovery's dashboard upgrade has also taken about 30 years to complete. Not really, of course, but that's how long it felt. Now the Disco still has to get a windscreen, front and rear bumpers, rear windows. It's been quite a ride, but the finishing line is finally in sight. The dash is really looking good. Up next, we visit the mother city and we have a look at something that kind of looks like a Prado, and I don't know if it is, but whatever it is, it's really fast in the sand. This is Cape Townian Frans Bauer, and this is his very special Toyota Prado. Originally built to compete in the Australian Outback 4x4 competition, this Prado is all kinds of spectacular. It's powered by a 6-litre Vortec V8 engine from General Motors that delivers about 260 kilowatts. The front suspension is a Fox coilover and triple bypass setup with gas canisters in the engine bay, while the rear suspension makes do with old man Emu items. There are ARB lockers for the front and rear differentials, and the cruiser drivetrain itself is a bit of a mixed assortment of greatness. On the inside, the Prado has a full FIA specification roll cage, 4-point racing harnesses for the seats, a 75-litre fridge, a Finney 160-litre compressor,
2 Garmin GPS systems, a full C-Tech battery charging and monitoring system linked to no less than 3 batteries. And there's even a bilge pump to pump water out of the cabin if needed. Back on the outside, the Prado's bull bar is fitted with more tricks. Most notable here is the Warn winch with a giggle-pin dual 6-horsepower motor. The winch uses synthetic winch rope with an 18-ton rating, and the Prado can literally winch itself up a cliff if needed. The front bar also features no less than 6 KC spotlights with HID technology. The cruiser rides on 27-inch Cooper mud terrains fitted to 17-inch beadlock rims. The trick rims mean that France can run the tire pressures at 0.4 bar without worrying about a tire debeading. That extra low pressure results in more flotation on the sand, further adding to the Prado's sand driving skills. Now add all these ingredients and top it off with one of SA's most experienced and capable sand drivers and you end with, well, pure unadulterated motoring nirvana. It's a combination of that V8 engine's melodies, the amazing grip from the 37-inch wheels running at 0.4 bar, the spectacular suspension and the sheer skill of the driver. If a 4x4 heaven actually existed, the Atlantis Dunes and this Prado would probably be it. As Al Pacino famously said in Scent of a Woman, hoo-ah!
Honest, I don't know about you, but me, I certainly want one, please. The only problem is, it's going to be a problem as a daily commute though. So now, if you head off in the direction of the Northwest Province towards Hartbeespoort Dam side, you will come across the Lion and Rhino Reserve. We paid it a visit and came across a very interesting family-orientated 4x4 trail and with some interesting activities as well.
If you are looking for a cool day trip with a family and you don't particularly feel the need to pack the winch, recovery gear and your Camel Trophy cap, then here's a cool option. The Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve is situated west of Johannesburg. It's also the home to Jannie Reichart's Protea Eco Adventures. The Eco Adventures are specifically aimed at families, and the day's outing starts off with a cup of coffee or tea at the Eco Adventures headquarters in the heart of the park. A 2.8 kilometer long 4x4 track winds around here, with obstacles ranging from very mild to some slippery mud and tight and technical 4x4 driving. However, as far as 4x4 driving goes, it's really not Camel Trophy kind of obstacles. Instead of winching and recoveries, Jannie encourages wives, girlfriends, husbands or boyfriends in the passenger seats to also get involved here, acting as guides to the drivers. After a few hours of play on the track, Jannie leads the convoy out into the reserve to take in the open plains and the loads and loads of animals. Protea uses tracks that are not accessible to other visitors, especially not to those with normal sedans. Eventually, the trail takes the convoy all the way to the Rhino and Lion Reserve Boma area, where the braai fires would be lit and ready to tan some cow. The other major attraction here is the animal display area. Here visitors can interact with young lions, have a pretty close encounter with a beautiful but grumpy black leopard. In short, it's the kind of place you can spend lots of time. After the animal interaction and lunch, visitors are welcome to head home or take a leisurely drive around the reserve. This is a pretty cool day trip for a family who wants to get that 4x4 or even a 4x2 with good ground clearance a bit dirty.
You know that hissing sound that you hear when you stop when you're on your overlanding trip? It's called a puncture. Nothing more irritating than that. And here's how you use your puncture repair kit. So there you are, driving along, having the time of your life, and you stop to have the old cold one. And then you hear that all familiar sound. Now we start looking how to fix this problem. And we picked up such a problem. So, a little bit of water. This is what we call a reaming or a cleaning tool. I'm going to use this to clean up the hole so that we can get the temporary plug through there much easier. What we're doing now is we're cleaning up the hole. And I've already taken the plug, there you have. It's almost like a gator, and a little bit of adhesive. And we apply the adhesive. And it also acts as a lubricator. Once we pull this out, we'll put in our temporary plug. Now please guys, note this is a temporary plug. If you see where this puncture is, this is at the most vulnerable spot. It's where you have the most flex on your tire. This is also where you're going to get the most heat buildup. So the possibility of this actually coming out of here because of the heat buildup is probably 99%. So use this only as an emergency fix until you can get to a place where you can actually have this tire repaired proper. Otherwise, you need to put on your spare wheel. But there we go. Pull it out. Earlier, we had a look at 3 economical 4x4s. So now, time to take them off-road and then to decide which one would be the one that we'd choose for ourselves. Some popular British TV program has a helmeted wonder that does all their high-speed tests for them, but we have our very own Hannes Grobler.
Our man Hannes is a former national rally and off-road champion. He retired in 2012 after decades of competing at the top level of the sport. He knows stuff about 4x4s and about driving. A lot of stuff, in fact.
So now we've come up with 2 cunning tests, of which the first one is a timed slalom sand test. It's very economically minded. Hannes, are you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Up first, we have the little Suzuki. Low range engaged, Hannes, let's rip. And here Suzuki's big trump card, its low weight, really comes into play. It tips the scale at just over 1 ton, so it kind of floats on the sand and doesn't drive in it.
Two, one, and go!
It's the Samyang's turn next, and after sussing out the Tiptronic option of the 5-speed automatic gearbox, there goes Hannes. The Samyang is no featherweight though, and it weighs in at around 2 tons. Time for the big gun with 281 kilowatts and 850 newton meters of torque. Oh yes, and that drinks only 9 liters of diesel every 100 kilometers. With low range selected, Hannes gives the V8 turbo diesel engine free rein and redistributes quite a lot of sand in the process. On that note, it's time to talk results.
So Hannes, out of these 3 cars, which one do you think did the best?
I think the Porsche sounded the fastest and it felt the fastest.
But which one did you work the hardest in, the Jimny or the Porsche?
Yes, like probably the Jimny. The only problem with the Jimny, it was like I was hitting my elbows against the door all the time, you know, to keep it on the road.
You're back in a Land Rover Defender.
Something like that, you know.
No surprises that the Rexton came in the slowest, at 28.85 seconds. Okay, but in second place was the Porsche at 26.23 seconds.
Don't tell me.
I'm telling you. And the Jimny was 26.11 seconds.
1/10 of a second faster.
1/10 of a second. That's a little 1300 normally aspirated petrol motor against a V8 turbocharged motor in the Porsche.
Hey, I mean, it just shows you what the sand can do, eh?
That's the weight of the vehicle, and then of course, there's one deciding factor here. The nut that holds the steering. So Hannes, what's your plan of action here?
Well, I'm first going to walk it and see if it's possible for it to get up here.
You think they're all going to go up there?
I think they can impress us. It all depends on the ground clearance at the top there.
After inspecting the obstacle and discussing the merits of inspecting the obstacle at length, Hannes is finally ready for the first 4x4, the giant-beating Suzuki. And again, the little Japanese 4x4 proves highly impressive as it scampers up and down all the obstacles, despite the fact that it has no electronic traction aids or locking front or rear diffs. The little Jimny's small size and low weight and short wheelbase again prove invaluable. The Rexton is up next, and like the Suzuki, it also doesn't have any traction aids or a rear diff lock. What it does have are very trendy side steps, which is the first thing that you should remove if you want to drive off-road. They look cool, but they don't work at all in this kind of environment. Yet, despite a lack of wheel articulation, low clearance, and the limitation of those side steps, the Rexton completes all the tasks we throw at it. Impressive, very impressive. And now for the amazingly economical Porsche Cayenne Diesel S. With its suspension set at its highest setting, and with low range engaged and the center differential locked, and with Hannes putting on his best "I don't want to damage the Porsche" face, the Cayenne slowly claws its way up the obstacles and down the declines. Despite the fact that it has virtually no wheel articulation, the fancy electronics and the economical grunt of the 850 Nm V8 engine ensure that the Cayenne completes all the tests quite successfully.
So Hannes, which one was the best on the 4x4 test?
I think the Jimny did it the easiest. It's short wheelbase, it's lightweight, and he did it quite easily, you know.
It's time to choose, my friend. Out of the three. The choice is obvious, eh?
For sure.
The choice is obvious, but there's one problem. Let's just check our wallets first. I'll fix your wallet. Hannes, move, man.
Hey, move over, I want to change the gears, man.
Man. There was seriously not enough space for the two of us inside that little car, man. It's almost like those ads with a two-man tent that is so tight that you better hope that the guy that's sharing the tent with you is a very good mate of yours. Anyway, that's all we have time for this week, folks. We'll see you again, same time, same place. And remember, please keep left and pass right.
Catch all the latest motoring news in Leisure Wheels magazine. If you want more information about that 4x4 show, find us on Facebook. There you will also find more information about that 4x4 trip in conjunction with Leisure Wheels magazine. Bridgestone, your journey, our passion.